Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats. And we've been going live to help families get the information they need to help their kids get a great education. And it's, believe it or not, it's going to be summer soon. Although here in San Antonio today, it doesn't really feel like summer. It's actually one of those like last few cool days of spring. But I know it's going to get hot soon, and then kids will be out of school. And but parents are looking for enrichment activities, how to get kids reconnected. And so I'm really excited today we get to share about the Anne Frank Inspire Academy Summer Experience. And so to tell us more about that, we have Jeffery Moss, who's the counselor at Anne Frank Inspire Academy. And then we also have Alissa Blanton, who's a senior. So she's a student at Anne Frank Inspire Academy. She's also student council president. And in the Anne Frank Inspire Academy Summer Experience, she's going to be the program assistant and leading the mentors who are doing the community building activities. So Alissa and Jeffery, I'm so glad you could join me to talk about Anne Frank Inspire Academy Summer Experience.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Okay. So the I want to mention, so on the blog we've updated the guest post about the Anne Frank Inspire Academy Summer Experience. So that's at sachartermoms.com. And folks, if you're watching the video, you can click through the description. The link in the description of the video will take you to the blog post. So, and the blog post starts with a quote from Albert Einstein that I love. It says, learning is experience. Everything else is just information. So I was wondering, I feel like that really illustrates like what Anne Frank Inspire Academy is about. So can you explain more about that?
Yeah, Mr. Johnson is always the best person to speak on this. And I know he's not here today, but since I've been at Anne Frank Inspire Academy, you can't help but to feel that it is literally set up to allow students an opportunity to experience education and not just be taught it. And so everything from how our classroom spaces are set up to the schedule to, our inquiry model really allows for students to encourage them to have experiences. I've seen ranging from kinder all the way up, students taking an idea and kind of toying with what it means and how it affects them in their world, and being able to create really meaningful and projects that change people's lives. I'm always impressed to see the quality of student work when they're allowed to just take materials that are around and create. So I would say that experience is everything that we do internally.
Yeah. I'm thinking back about like the showcase event, like where like the student work, right? So I mean, community members coming in to see it, but yeah, no, it's true. Like, I mean, I think everybody, including students, they do the best work when it's something you're passionate about, when it's like a question you're trying to answer and you're really driven to find the answer. And we know we have the enrollment guide blog post that explains more about Anne Frank, and then I know like Justin has written a guest post about like what is inquiry-based learning. And so I just encourage families, like, go click around on the site, find our content about Anne Frank, but like, and thank you for kind of introducing what is Anne Frank, but I really want to focus more on the summer experience in particular. Yes. Because that's what's coming up. So so what are some of the things that are unique about the Anne Frank Inspire Academy summer experience?
Yeah, I would say we definitely take aspects of what we do during the year. So i.e. we continue inquiry-based learning. But what I would say differentiates the summer is it's a month-long intervention that focuses primarily on social emotional competence and well-being. And so there are many aspects we'll talk about, I'm sure, within this segment that highlight the importance of developing social awareness. How do we develop relationship skills based on that awareness and ultimately make responsible decisions? And so I am someone who is very passionate about social emotional learning and got a certificate in social emotional learning leadership just because I wanted to be able to really help shape culture by being intentional. And so that is what I would say is the main difference in what we do over the summer versus the year.
Yeah. Alissa, do you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, sure. So,
Or do you want to talk more about like the specific things that y'all do
Mhm.
yeah,
during
so
the summer experience? Okay.
that social emotional learning really plays heavily into our advisories, which is run by the mentors. And during that time, scholars are allowed to explore what it means to express themselves and really understand the like scales that emotions really carry in our lives. And then throughout the day they go and are able to really experience those things and really put it into practicality from what they learn in advisory and take it into some the community building activities we do. And really it all just ties together what we're looking to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I mean, and you guys get to do some unique things, right? Like, so some of it is on campus, and then some of it is out in the community. And I have to say, I mean, the campus. I've been on the campus on Bandera Road, and it's beautiful because like it's in the woods, and there's all these
Yeah.
oak trees, and there's there's lots of like indoor and outdoor spaces, and so it's a beautiful campus. But you're not only on campus, but you're also going out and having adventures, right?
Yeah, and so this year, we've taken a lot of the learning from last year and the feedback, and we're encouraging, for example, our instructors to take their experiences more outbound. And so, particularly on the middle and high school levels, we're encouraging more. I'm careful not to say field trips because we have field trips that are planned for the whole program, but opportunities to take the van and go somewhere, whether that's the park down the street. We have one facilitator wanting to do the rock wall climbing gym with his group. And so we're really trying to encourage, really engaging with San Antonio in meaningful ways through their experiences. We are actually calling, and so I'm not going to say classes because we're not going to call them classes this year. We're actually calling them experiences. We're packaging sort of kind of activities that are focused on building a lot of what we've just spoken about within a theme, right? So one of the themes in high school is going to be self-care. The other is strength building. We've got quite a few things happening in the elementary campus that are amazing. Our middle school facilitators are, we've got one doing a manga book club and one doing sort of creating your own games and what that looks like. So again, just really creative pursuits that will get our kiddos on and off campus engaged in some meaningful way. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to something that Alissa said. So you talked about advisory periods, and that's where like the mentors would work with the students, and then there's also community building aspect. So I was wondering, you could tell me more about like sort of what is the vision? Like, what are you hoping that students will learn from that? And I'm thinking about like feedback I've heard from parents where they felt like the distance learning or like the effects of the pandemic, it's like kids, they kind of weren't able to relate to each other as well. And it sounds like you're finding like a fun way to try to remedy that.
Yeah, so within advisories, it's really a time for the mentors and their scholars to really bond. And what they do there is they're creating a safe space for these kids. And in so doing, they're creating like a family as well, something to ground them in the chaos of this world. Um, and within community building, it really means a lot for kids to be able to come back after the events of COVID and everything and really feel like they belong somewhere, really feel like they're part of something that
Mm.
is impactful and means something to people. And that's really important for them to feel like they're a part of that.
I would add, I certainly, at the start of this school year, I'll share a little brief anecdote. One of our, I think she is in the second grade, asked me how many days until the summer experience. And what it tells me, and a lot of our kiddos are in the same boat, counting down the days. When we really looked at our feedback, one of the most valuable aspects of the program of the mini was that students felt like being able to break down the barriers of middle, elementary, high school, and doing things together. We do our field trips together. We have that intentional community building together. Our mentors are all high school students. It really means something in building that community. And so everything we do is intentional and it's centered around community building.
Yeah, yeah. That's something that's like it's so natural for kids to be in mixed age groups, but it so often doesn't happen in a typical school experience. But there's so much that they can learn from each other, and there's so much like kind of like customs and traditions and like positive ways of supporting each other that the older students can pass on to the younger students. So I think that's a great feature. Yeah. Um, so oh, there was something that Alissa said that struck me, and she used the word belong, and I know that's one of the values at Anne Frank, and like that comes up in the blog post. I was wondering if you could talk more about that. Like, what's the connection between this value of belonging and what y'all are trying to do? You and the mentors at the summer experience.
It's a good question.
Yeah, so it's really all about that inclusivity. Like if you see that one kid sitting on the sidelines, you don't just be like, oh, they're just over there doing their own thing. No, you invite them over, you get them involved with the activity, and that to kids really feels like, maybe I am special. Like, like I really, really enjoy this time I'm having here. And that's the job of the mentors, to go and find these people and bring them all together and really like form this bond between people that really is true and authentic community, where we come together and we support each other in ways that we never could have if we just ignored each other.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a great example. I can visualize that happening, and it's how great to like that the mentors are to kind of look out for that, because I feel like that during the pandemic, things that were second nature, we kind of lost those habits. And I know for me, like I was at a networking event around lunchtime today, and I was thinking like, wait, what are you supposed to do? What am I supposed to do here? It's like,
I
that's right,
definitely hear
get your
you.
business cards. Yeah. It's like I'm having to like relearn that. And then for kids, like if they've gone from elementary to middle school, like there's like a middle school social skill set that they didn't get the on-ramp for, right? And so having like high school students as mentors who can like help coach them up, and like you know maybe like the first few times it has to be conscious and deliberate, but then maybe it becomes second nature, and then like kids are treating each other with that inclusivity and wanting to help each other belong.
It has to be modeled. I think that I couldn't have said that even better. It has to be modeled. And part of what goes into mentor training is me modeling for them the behaviors that I need them to learn and to be able to teach. But them being able to be comfortable and competent in their own emotions and what's happening internally and why I do what I do. And so to me, it's the best work we could possibly be doing, teaching the community how to reconnect. And, while Alissa is speaking glowingly about the work she's doing with her mentors, I'd be remiss to note that we're doing the exact same thing on the adult side. All of the training and all of the work that's going into building the classroom experiences are anchored to understanding the experience from a student perspective. And, are we creating the kind of experience that we would want ourselves, right? I often call it the Disney experience. If we're not giving a world-class experience, we don't belong here. So it's very, very important.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so like Alissa talked about this as far as the progress between advisory and then community building, and Jeffrey, you've talked about like these different sort of experiences, like reading manga together or going to a climbing gym. But I'm just wondering, can y'all give more of a sense of like sort of what's a day in the life like of for a student who enrolls in the Anne Frank Inspire Academy Summer Experience?
Yeah, I mean, I can take you through logistically what the day looks like. I think Alissa is the best person to give you the feel of the day. And so we do have, and I'm careful in using this word, kind of two tracks. We've got an elementary day and a middle high school day. While there are slight differences, i.e. elementary day, those courses are shorter, or those experiences are a little shorter in duration. We're allowing for recess. We'll have some down period where they can have quiet time to really reflect and just kind of relax from the day a little bit. Everybody starts the day with advisory. We go into our experiences throughout the day. There's some focus time where we'll focus on skill building. It's very targeted. We do have one of our directors is our director of intervention. So she's coming in with some great skill there. And then, like Alissa said, we cap the day with community building. And so it's a very intentional schedule, but, more importantly than that is how the day will feel to students. So what do you say?
Yeah, I'd say just about every minute of the day, you're constantly engaged with something new, like those experiences that you'll go to. That's really it's something new. You've never experienced it before. And the facilitators do a wonderful job of explaining it and taking us out on those field trips, giving us a real world experience. And by the end of the day, we can come back and converse about these adventures that we've gone on together. And it really helps build the community. And just every single point throughout the day is very deliberate in how we are structuring and bringing up these kids. Yeah.
That makes sense. I think we talked earlier about Jeffrey talked about modeling and that adults or older kids showing younger kids how to exercise these social skills. And I think that kind of remedies some of the problems that we had during the pandemic. But I also think that during the pandemic there was so much unstructured time, right? If so many things were closed, or if kids weren't on campus, and there could be a sense of loneliness or hopelessness or aimlessness of well, I don't know where we're going. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. It's sort of a sense of unease. And so, it sounds like that there's a lot of structure, but not in the sense of kids are supposed to do a certain thing at every minute of the day, but it's they're being presented with stimuli and things that they'll be curious about. And, is that kind of how it's supposed to how you want it to work?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't want the schedule to sound that it, overprescribed and down to the minute, right? I think certainly what you're saying is true. We went from last year, really, that's one of the decisions of going from classes to experiences, right? There's really truly time built in for community building, even within those experiences. And so, we've tasked the staff with really thinking about what is you passionate about and how can we get students passionate about those things as well. So even starting from how we select the staff this summer to what courses they're teaching and how they're structuring it. And I said courses, experiences that they're giving has been very, very intentional. And so, even on the elementary level, we thought long and hard about what the experience was last year. That's where we decided to focus on those transition points. So kinder, we're spending a lot more time, those incoming kinder students, incoming sixth graders, incoming ninth graders. We're really spending more time slowing things down, listening and focusing on how do we ease some of that anxiety. Elementary kiddos are going to get 2 recesses in the day. We intentionally decided to go for a quiet time in the day so that they have time to reflect upon what was happening as opposed to constant noise all day long. So we've definitely incorporated a lot of positive changes from the feedback we heard.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the baseline was very good though, because I remember in October or so when our team came to tour in Frank Inspire Academy, one of our the ambassadors who showed us around the campus, he's a middle schooler, and this was in October, and he was just effusive about what he had done in June at Summer Experience. So it was probably the thing he talked most about when we were on the tour. So clearly it made a big impression on him.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like you're building on something that already was having a really good impact on students. Well, are there any specific things you want to highlight? You've mentioned, some of the off-campus things like going to a park or going to a climbing gym. Are there any other like unique experiences or like off-campus adventures that you can sort of give folks a peek at?
Sure. I think, first it's important to know how these are anchored. So can you talk a little bit about what each week means?
Yeah, so each week has a direct focus on our overall goal of transformation. So week one, we start with self, and we really start to look internally in the way we respond to our environment and the others around us. And then that leads us into week two, where we start to look at the family and community aspects and like how that how we it's really building upon itself, because once we've looked at self, we can then look at how that affects others in our community around us. And once we're at that step, we take it even farther, and we go looking into transforming the world as a whole and really carrying this experience with us wherever we go.
Yeah. And so each of the experience-wide trips we've curated have been intentional in trying to punctuate each week. And so that first week, we're going out to Airtopia, indoor adventure park to really challenge self, no quit zone, some of that Ninja Warrior course. Week two, we're looking to do the San Antonio Zoo. Our theme kind of there will be exploring boundaries. And so looking at physical boundaries and what are those boundaries that we wish to have in our lives with other people. And then the final trip, we're actually adding a third trip this year, which is new. We're going to do a service trip this year. And so looking at giving back to one of our state parks. So we'll have a day at the park, some time to cool down in the water in the afternoon. And of course, end the 4-week experience with student symposium and celebration. So those are some of the program-wide trips that we're looking at. And of course, Color Wars is still coming back. So I can't forget to mention that. So that is definitely a tradition that will continue on.
Yeah. Wow. That's so many like fun ideas that it's all packed into like like a 4-week period. That's a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. Okay. Well, I always like to close out with like, the specifics, like, hopefully families are getting excited about this and they're curious about it. But like, do y'all have any like additional thoughts about the program that you want to share before we get into like, the website and things like that?
Yeah, well, I would just say that, the excitement has definitely been generated. We've been open now for our family since April 1st. So we are down to the wire in terms of availability. So when it opens May 1st, you might want to jump on that. I will say we've got quite a bit of availability in the middle and high school, with varying availability in the elementary level. So, make sure you're attuned to the registration system on May 1st.
Okay. Yeah. Good tip. Yeah. I was clicking around on it. I was updating the blog post. I saw like there's a few grades that are pretty full. But I know there's a wait list for those. But then there's other grades that do have openings. Alissa, do you have any final thoughts you want to share before I put the links up on screen?
Not much. I'm just really looking forward to creating new adventures this year and really reflecting on last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
Well, I think
we are. We put binders together today. We're on the road.
yeah. Well, the way you talked about like, the inclusivity and building that sense of belonging, like, that really touched me. And I'm really happy that you're creating that kind of environment for these students. I think that's really meaningful.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is where I will put some links up on the screen. And for the folks who are listening on the podcast, I will spell these out. So the website for Anne Frank Inspire Academy is annefrankia.com. And then that's got a link, right? There's a button on there for summer experience. But if you want to go type it in directly, it's annefrankia.com/summer-experience. And then that will take you to like, the dates, right? So it's June 6th to July 1st.
That's right.
Right? Okay. And it's discounted for the Anne Frank families, but as you said, they've been signing up all month in April. So it's on May 1st is when registration opens up for families who are new to Anne Frank. And then they can get in on this. And you said there's availability, especially in middle school, high school, right? And
Middle
then
and high
early
school. Yeah,
elementary.
and we welcome those families. I think there's still something that could be gained for our older scholars, so we welcome it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna I'll put the website up on the screen one more time. So annefrankia.com/summer-experience, or anybody if you go to the blog post at sachartermoms.com, and that's got links to click everyone through. If you don't want to type it, just do it the easy way. Click through the blog post. Okay. Well, this has been great. I'm really proud to highlight this, and hopefully it gets families thinking about in the summer, like what are those, like skills, not just pushing academics, but thinking about self-care, the social emotional learning aspect. How can you find like role models to show those social skills, encouraging kids to treat each other with inclusivity and like build that sense of belonging and community. I feel like that's what our world is needing a lot of right now.
Well said.
Thank you. I'm on a roll today. Thank you. Okay. Well, great. It's been great talking to you both. Alissa, good to meet you. Jeffrey, good to see you online.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Take care, y'all.
Okay.